Welcome to toy-polloi. No Legos were harmed in the making of this video.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today we're going to look at restoring this vintage 1974 Kenner Duke the Super action dog. Well, I say restoring, basically we've got to reattach his rear leg as this has snapped off. Now this is a toy that I'd not heard of before, as it looks like it was a US only release by Kenner and was a very short-lived line that lasted for only 2 years and it was really set around Duke this dog, as you can see here. He's a pretty nicely made toy really, lots of detail on him and quite a lot of features. Obviously you can move his tail, you can rotate his legs, he has a joint in the sort of midsection of his belly so you can rotate that all around, and he has sort of ball jointed front legs. His head also moves, and if you notice here, if I move his head down, his jaws open slightly. Actually this is a spring loaded lower jaw, so it's really quite a detailed little toy and it's something that I'd never heard of before. This has been very kindly donated to me by Scott Davis, as he thought it'd be something that would be quite interesting for me to show here on this channel and also to get up and running again. So really, let's take a look at what the problem is and what we can do to fix him. So as you can see, the main issue is that he's missing his leg. He does have a few little bits of sort of paint wear on him, but I quite like that, and I think I'm actually just going to leave that as is. I just want to get the toy back up and running so we can work out how to reattach his leg. Now here we have a leg. I don't think this was actually the leg that came with this one. Scott very kindly sent this to me sort of separately, so I think this is just another spare leg. Now as you can see, it has snapped off, and we can sort of peer through the hole in the to see the sort of the other attachment. You can see that there is a metal washer that sort of pushes onto this plastic peg, and it looks like that to sort of snap the peg. In fact, if I rattle this, you can hear the other one inside, and I've sort of had a good look around. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the snapped off washer. So what we've got to do is work out a way of reattaching this leg to the back section of this dog. Now I've had a quick look again at how we can get into this toy, and the plastic is fairly brittle. If I pull this apart here, you can sort of just about see inside that the plastic edges are already sort of slightly chipped, and I've had again a little go with it, and it is fairly brittle stuff, so I don't think we're going to be able to break this sort of apart down the seams without damaging the toy. So I've got to work out a way of attaching this from the outside, and I think I have worked it out. What we're going to do is make a sort of rubberized washer which we can screw onto this and then push that through the hole so that it sort of pings open like a sort of butterfly clip, and that should hold the leg on. But first off, we need to modify this leg slightly because of the way this has snapped off. You can see how thick the plastic is here, so that's about sort of 1.5 millimeters, but the post is about 3 millimeters. So if we stick anything directly onto this, it's not going to sort of fit snugly on the inside here. So we're going to have to first sort of sand down this post to be roughly the same thickness as this leg. So let's get that bit done first. Now, as I previously mentioned, the plastic used for this toy is fairly sort of hard and brittle, so I don't think I can use plastic nippers to cut that, and I don't think I can use a knife. So I'm actually just going to use a small needle file here and very carefully file this down. I'm hoping it shouldn't take too long to do, and as I said, we need to sort of get it about the same thickness as the thickness of the plastic here, which is about 1.5 millimeters. So it's only sort of a little way that we've got to sand this down. So I'm just going to get this done, and then we can start working on the rest of the fix. So there we go. I think I've got that to about the right thickness. We can just hold this up so we can see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You don't want it too thin, but it needed to be a bit thinner. So that's the first part of this fix ready. We can now work out how to make the little sort of rubber washer that I want to put on this, which will hold the leg in place. So to make this sort of washer thing that I'm envisaged, I've got a few bits here for my toolbox which might work. I've got this sort of quite thick foam, which is good because you can bend it and it quickly sort of goes back to its original shape. But I actually think what I'm going to use is this, which is a sort of rubber stopper. This actually came when I bought a washing machine. It was used to sort of hold part of the washing machine in place, and I've kept it ever since, but it's a nice thick rubber. So we're just going to cut off a thin sort of piece of that to make a sort of washer. So again, I reckon it needs to be sort of about 1.5 millimeters, I would say, in thickness. And I'm hoping that this is quite easy to cut because it is just rubber. It might even have been simpler just to get some normal washers out, but I don't actually have any in my toolbox at the moment, so this will do. But what I'm really doing is cutting this down to be the same sort of thickness as a washer that you could buy from the shops. Let's see what that's like. Yeah, that's cutting quite nicely. So there we go, I've now got what is essentially a rubber washer, just a sort of thick rubbery plastic. But the good thing about this, again, if I bend this, and I can bend it quite a lot, when I let go of it, it goes back to its original shape, because what I'm planning is to put something onto the remains of this little sort of disc here, something that we can then sort of bend to push through the hole, and then once it's gone through the hole it will spring back to its original shape, and that should hold it in place, and we can just put a little screw in the middle of that to make it work. So I'm going to now cut this down and make something that sort of fits over this, which has two little wings going out of each side. So I don't really need the whole of this washer shape. I can just cut this in half, and I'm just going to sort of fashion something that I think will work, and we'll see if we can actually get it to fit. So this is what I've made. It's just a sort of a little wedge shape. It doesn't have to be beautiful because it's all going to be hidden inside, but I think by the time we've screwed that on, you see you've got two little sort of wings either side which we can then push through the hole, and I think that will hold everything on quite nicely. So we've got to screw this on. I've just found a little bag of screws. Now these are the same screws I've used for other fixes, but all you need really is something with a large head, because you want that to hold everything in place. And luckily this toy has a little hole already made in the sort of leg post, so I can just screw that in. It shouldn't cause me any problems. So let's get this screwed onto the toy. I think I might have to make a little pilot hole just through this rubber. So I'm just going to use the plastic nippers just to point something in there, so I can get this screw started. And then let's screw this onto the leg, and we'll see if this actually works. This is the first time I've tried this, so it may not work, but the idea to me sounds like it should. So there you go, you can see that's still quite rubbery, and I'm hoping we can push that through the hole on the rear end of the dog and see if it holds the leg in place. So I'm not quite sure how easy this is going to be able to show on camera, but you can see here we have the two bits of plastic or rubber, and I'm going to insert those into the hole just using a screwdriver. So I can bend one end in like that, and then we'll push the other end in, I'm hoping, like so. And then with a bit of sort of fiddling around and pushing, I'm hoping I can push all of that rubber in, and then it will spring back to life on the other side and hold the leg in place. That seems to be going in. I reckon if I twist and just do this, if I twist and push, and there we go, that seems to have gone in place. So let me realign the camera and I'll show if it works. It looks like this has worked perfectly. The bits of rubber have sort of pushed apart on the other side, and the leg is now held pretty firmly in place. If we compare it to the other side, it gets almost exactly the same motion. It's a little bit springy, obviously because it's rubber, but that's really firmly held in place. So I think that is a successful leg reattachment there. And here we have Duke the Super Action Dog back up and running. As you can see, the leg does work remarkably well, and that's a fix I'd not tried before, but it's certainly something that I'm going to use in the future, because I can see that working for quite a few other toys that have sort of detached limbs like this, because it does hold it on really quite firmly. I don't think people would actually notice that that had been fixed at all. And I placed him here against a toy Action Man just to show you the size of this toy. It is pretty large. It would actually work better with the $6 Million Man, which I think is what Scott said that he collected them for, because he likes $6 Million Man. He thought this would be an ideal thing to sort of be a bionic dog to go with Steve Austin. But it is a great toy. I'm really pleased that he brought it to my attention. It's not something I'd ever seen before, and certainly one that I would have hoped it would have been released here in the UK, just because it's got some quite cool features. I can certainly understand understand why this toy line didn't do particularly well, because really, who wants to play with a dog as their sort of main action figure? You really want something like a G.I. Joe or an action man like this. And I guess this was just before the sort of the high time of Kenner's toy making skills that they brought into action with these Star Wars figures. But it certainly is something that's quite nice. And I'm going to stick this on display here because it's just a bit of an oddity. I don't think any other sort of UK collectors will have seen one. So yeah, big thanks to Scott Davis for sending this over for me to fix. He's been a great fun toy to learn about and to make a repair on. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.